Well, weed control on soybeans used to be difficult. We mixed a lot of different products together. Then all of a sudden we got Roundup Ready beans, and it got easy again that, wow, here's this one product and it does a great job for us. And now we're right back into, we've really got to mix things up out there to do a good job with weed control on soybean crops.
And here's where Darren and I are going to start to diverge in our opinions because
that's why we've got more than one camera, Brian.
So all winter long, I've had to listen to Darren. Oh, we're going to have major problems with Roundup resistance in soybeans, and we got to go to Liberty Link beans and all this stuff. And you know what? I'm not really seeing it, Darren.
I'm not saying that we have to go to Liberty Link soybeans. What I'm saying is there are issues with resistant weeds around our country, and those issues are mostly to the south of where we farm, but there's starting to be some issues even up into South Dakota where we live. And I'm just telling Brian, we need to be ahead of things here rather than wait until we have a problem and, oh boy, Roundup doesn't work anymore for us. We have to switch. I would rather have a choice. Right now, we've got choices on our farm. We can use the Roundup system. We can use the Liberty Link soybeans and the Ignite system. Both will work fine for us. We could go completely conventional and avoid those two products right now. We've got a lot of choices. And depending on where you're at in the country, maybe Roundup is ineffective for you, or maybe you just don't have many Liberty Link varieties for your area, which I disagree with. I think you do have varieties. But anyway, you've got some choices. Let's talk about those different programs today.
Well, let's face it, Darren, farmers and really most people hate change. I fear change. So I don't want to change my program. Why would I want to do that? So
I appreciate the honesty.
I'm going to stick as long as I can with the Roundup program. But no, seriously, you've got good options with the Liberty Link thing.
Well,
but
hold on.
Okay.
You want to stay with Roundup. Okay, yeah, that's fine. But here's the change that you're making, that many farmers are making, is I can't just use Roundup anymore. Now I've got to use a pre-down, otherwise I have some issues. Well, and you know what? I maybe even be using a residual product post-emerge too.
Okay, so on our farm, just so you know, we have always used a pre-emerge herbicide in soybeans because whenever we've tried just a few acres here and there where we haven't used a pre, it's been nothing but disaster. We end up with spraying Roundup 3 times. We still have weeds at harvest time. We just don't like seeing that. As much as a soybean crop is worth anymore, we averaged well over 60 bushel beans on our farm this last year, and the price is great. So we can make good money raising soybeans, but we can't if we've got a lot of weed problems out there. So we've always started with a pre. You can do something cheap, like go back to the old days and talk Treflan. Treflan's $3 an acre. $3 an acre, it's nothing. So you can go out there with Valor, one of the authority products, and especially if you're in a name brand Roundup program, you use Power Max or Weather Max, you're getting up to $3 an acre back for Valor, for example. I mean, that makes Valor literally like $4, maybe $5 an acre. It's dirt cheap by the time you figure the rebate in.
But it's like pulling somebody's arm when you say, man, you got to do it, you got to do it. And farmers in the upper Midwest, and I know we're guilty of it too, look at the cost and say, wow, I might spend $10 on pre-emerge herbicides in my Roundup Ready program. And I just laugh because if you move a little bit further south in our country, guys are spending $20 or more on pre's because they've got a little longer growing season. They're going out late February, early March with the first shot, then they're coming back with another shot in April, then they're coming back with another shot of residual in May, and so they've got multiple shots. We're talking about in the upper Midwest where we farm, just one time putting a pre out, maybe a mix Treflan and a Valor, or a Prowl and a Valor, something like that, or an authority product in there. Maybe it's Optil. You know, there's a number of different choices, but the point is you're probably spending $10 or less on these pre's.
Okay, so one of the things on our farm that we are considering doing a little different as we go forward here is we'll put the pre on. We might, at least on a few acres where at least Darren's all scared that we're going to have Roundup resistant weeds, we might come with some Warrant early post. So our first shot of Roundup, we'll go with Warrant, and because of the rebate money we can get back on Warrant, net, it's probably only going to cost us $4 an acre or $5. Okay, so that's it. So literally we could go out with $4 or $5 on Valor, plus $4 or $5 on Warrant. We've spent less than the cost of a bushel of soybeans, and now we've got a tremendous residual herbicide program.
And it's still really tough to get Brian to make those changes, but you know, we have to be proactive on
hey,
this
I don't like to spend money more than anybody else.
I know, but let's talk about these resistant weeds for just a minute. When you see resistant weeds starting in your field is not a disaster. Your field has just a sprinkling of weeds here and there. Maybe just see, you know, one here, one there, and you say, wow, it looks like I got 50 weeds in this whole great big field, no big deal. That's where this resistance problem starts. If you don't get every last one of them under control, you're susceptible to this. So by putting that extra pre out, now we've just increased our residual a long ways into the season. Instead of worrying about that Valor that we put on our farm in April or maybe really early May, now we're coming back maybe the 1st of June with another residual product that's going to take us until we've got full canopy in our crop and we just aren't going to have weed problems after that.
Well, there are a number of weeds around the country that have developed resistance to Roundup, but the one that scares me the most in our geography is water hemp. And the reason why is because it can put on up to 1 million seeds per plant. So even if you have one plant in your whole field, and let's say the germination's horrible and you only have 10% germination out of that million, you still have 100,000 weed seeds that could sprout up. So that's the one that I'm most concerned about.
If you're considering using Liberty Link soybeans on your farm, and many farmers are, the market shift is just going fast to Liberty Link beans where Roundup resistant weeds have popped up. There are good yielding varieties out there, but you have to be smart about how you're handling the herbicide program as well. You say, wait a minute, I can spray Ignite on my Liberty Link crops and it'll do a great job. And it will. It's fantastic. It kills grasses and broadleaves like Roundup does. However, it's a little more sensitive to timing. You want to keep those weeds at about 3 inches tall, then go out and spray that shot of Ignite, use 22 ounces, and it's going to do a nice job for you. If they start getting bigger than that, then we're talking about tank mix partners or reducing our expectations for weed control. What we like to do in Liberty Link soybeans is put out a pre or 2. We'll start with something like a Treflan or Prowl to get the grass under control. Then we'll add one of the Authority products or Valor, or there's a number of different products, or you could do something like Sharpen as well and add something for broadleaf help. Then we'll come back in crop, and with that first shot of Ignite, we may be adding something like Warrant in there to add some residual control to that program. If you've got resistant weeds, I would strongly recommend this. And then you can come back later on with another shot of Ignite. Now, I would typically wait about 4 weeks after planting. Depends on where you're at in the country and how fast those weeds are coming back. But I'd typically wait about 4 weeks, spray that first shot of Ignite, wait about 4 weeks, spray another shot of Ignite.
Well, once again, whatever you're going to do, whether it's a Roundup crop, Liberty crop, you've got to make sure that you're paying attention to weed problems overall on your farm. Because, you know, we've kind of forgotten about this over the last few years as we've focused so much more on insects and diseases and everything else. Weeds are a major problem all over the country, and they're getting worse because of all the resistance problems we're seeing with Roundup resistance and a number of other herbicides too. So do what you can to manage those things on your farm.
Well, the biggest problem with weeds is they rob yield. So if you have our Weed of the Week, you need to get it under control. Can you identify this week's weed?